Hello, this is Hannah again, and I wanted to do a video on something I've been thinking a lot about, which is friends and what I look for in a friend and what I don't look for in a friend, and basically what I need to feel close to someone. So I've been thinking about this a lot, because it's funny, the things that I look for in a friend, I feel like everyone does, but then it's really not the case when it really comes down to it. I'm very, like, extremely selective about who I want to spend time with and who I who I see as having potential for a relationship. And when I say relationship, I mean any type, like friendship or actual relationship, um, like a romantic relationship. Yeah, I mean, for me, and I've said it before, that authenticity is huge. Um, that's like the main point. I feel like for me, my definition of authenticity is feeling like I can be 100% myself and they can be 100% themselves, and um, it's exposed, it's out there, and kind of encouraging each other to grow to be to be all that we are, not someone else, but to like really reach our potential. So I think for me, I'm really good at being guarded and people not knowing, because I can be very open in terms of discussing things that are very transparent for people, but it's not really vulnerable for me. Me being vulnerable is being able to share when I'm feeling something really strongly in the moment. It's easy for me to talk about past things and be really open about it, even though they might be difficult conversations for other people to have. I feel like I need to like process them and then talk about them when I'm just like I'm over it. It doesn't really affect me that much, but um, in my relationships, I've learned that the ones that I appreciate the most are the ones where um, when I'm sharing it in the moment, I'm really feeling heard and validated. Um, and I don't mean that they have to agree with me, but if I feel like understood and heard in that moment, that's like huge for me. So like one of the things that really pisses me off is when I get to the point, which is really hard for me to do, um, just kind of being open about something that I'm going through. And if they kind of invalidate that in any way, like I've had people who've kind of like rationalized it away or, made insensitive comments like, we'll get over it, or, I don't know, they just kind of invalidate what I'm feeling, even though they're like actually like legitimate feelings. I just I don't need that in my life. I need people who can go through the motions with me and um, help me process things, because I'm so in my head about stuff. Like if I don't if I don't talk things out, it's not good for me. And so I've learned to, find people in my life where they can deal with all my like emotions. They understand my thoughts. They know that it's coming from a good place, not a place of um, like hurt. I feel a lot of guilt about stuff that I do. I've talked about that before, and it's something I'm working on. Um, but people who don't have good discernment can misinterpret some of the things that I blame myself for that I probably shouldn't. But so I think for me, I need someone who, in my friendships, people who are just kind of mindful and discerning and have good intuition about those things, because um, they'll be able to kind of see where things are coming from for me. So I think as I'm talking about it, I'm thinking about one of the main things that I need in a friendship is like feeling like I trust their judgment enough. That's like really big, because in terms of a friendship, I look for friends where I can actually do life with, and talk to about all my stuff, and just kind of a confidant. That's like huge. So if I don't feel like I can do that, then it doesn't feel um, like it's a like fruitful relationship and something that um, that will add meaning to my life. And vice versa. Like, I feel like that's something that I offer in my relationships, and to be able to look for that it can be a mutual thing is awesome, because I think when I was growing up, I definitely wasn't seeking relationships where I felt like my friends were offering that for me. To some degree, they were, and I think part of it was me having to learn to open up to people. But yeah, so I think it's a mutual thing in relationships. As I'm hearing myself talk about it, I hope I'm not sounding like I'm a taker, because I'm definitely like, I want to give as much as, I give as much as my friends do. I want, people that I'm in a relationship with to feel like I add meaning to their life as well. So yeah, um, things that I look for in friends are just like good character. Um, I can be very. I'm not picky in a sense of, someone should have a certain car or job or make a certain amount of money or anything like that. But for me, I'm very picky in terms of like I base it off of their character, and so honesty, sincerity, someone who's open-minded and good-hearted and self-aware. That's a big thing too. I can't I can't, you know, spend time with someone that I question their intentions, or I would pretty much, I think of when I look for a friend, I look for someone who I could get good advice from. So if I feel like I'm going to be talking to you about my life stuff and you just like won't get it, you won't understand why I'm wanting to improve this relationship or work on things, and if you're just going to give me a lame answer and just kind of brush it off, like I just can't. So that's why I look for a certain level of depth to a person. So yeah, and if I've seen anything that's questionable, like you're kind of shady or something like that, like even like the littlest things, I just it turns me away, and um, I just I don't I I just don't see it worth it to me. Um, so for some people, they can be friends with someone even though they're not like super like the best, like they don't trust them in all areas, or they feel like they can't talk to them about certain things, but they're able to overlook it and be like, that's okay, we're still friends. Like for me, it's hard for me to overlook it. Like I want to be able to tell you anything and everything, and if I can't say everything around you, then why should I say anything around you? So yeah, I think for me, I am in my relationships, like, so let's say, like, with, like, family relationships, so there's a few members of my family who, okay, before I move on, I will say that I am generally drawn to other NFs. So, my best friend and my boyfriend are INFPs, and NFs are just generally very, I feel like a good bond to, because we understand each other in that intuitive feeling respect, you know. Obviously, there's differences with the INFPs and how it's manifested, but generally, like, I feel very understood by INFPs. Um, so that goes without saying. I think when it comes to people who aren't NFs, I I have a really hard time opening up just in general. Like, and I'm trying to, I mean, I can't think of, I just started getting to Myers-Briggs and stuff, so I'm not really familiar with all the relationships and typing people, but from the most part, I think most of my closest friends, especially the past few years, have been NFs. Um, so when I think about the relationships that I struggle in, that I don't, that I feel like some level of like resistance to within myself, um, they're usually people who aren't NFs, and that's nothing personal towards them. I think it's something I also need to work on, but I think my natural tendency is to be drawn to NFs. But so um, I think people who don't see things, that aren't able to, you know, interpret things or see the meaning behind things, I get, I don't know. I find excitement in exploring things, and excitement hearing what people think about things, that I feel like they have good insight and intuition about stuff. So that's kind of what drives me to like share things with people and want to process things with them. But if they're not that way, I kind of just feel like it doesn't excite me. It doesn't challenge me in any way. So yeah, so when it comes to like family relationships and the ones that like I don't choose, my family, and um so if they're if they just kind of want to have small talk and kind of what I consider superficial conversation, I just I kind of like I don't really know how to have a good relationship that way. So like with my mom, she's super loving and caring, and she's very much like an acts of service person, and um she gives a lot in terms of those kind of things, like cooking and cleaning and doing like things and favors and stuff. But she hasn't really learned to kind of um have real deep conversations, and it's just not something she does. And um there's the screen again. Um so in some respect, that's, I love her and I know that she loves me, but there's a certain level of intimacy that we haven't had. Um and it will be really difficult to have, because I think um we just kind of see things very differently in a lot of respects, and because of that, I don't I don't naturally want to share that much with her. Like, it's funny because like I'm comparing it. So with like I believe she's an SF ESFJ, I think, or I don't know. Yeah, I think she's an ESFJ. So when it comes to um, like seeing her and she asks me about my day or something, I'll say, "Oh, it's good." Like I'm very like short, and I always feel really rude because I'm like, why don't? Because then when I think about when an NF in my life will ask me that, and I know there's differences probably with like family and friend dynamics, but still, it's like that with a lot of other people who aren't NFs that are like friends or acquaintances or whatever. Um, but like yeah, with an NF, like I want to share a lot. Like I want to talk about everything that happened in my day and process things and go in circles about it and repeat myself. But then when it comes to like sharing with someone who doesn't have that intuition, I think that's the main thing. It's the intuition part. I just like I have no desire to talk. So I don't know if you guys like can relate to that, but that's just kind of something that I've just been noticing. So um, and then I feel guilty because then I feel like they know me to a certain level, but at the same time, I'm very selective about that. I'm kind of consciously and subconsciously choosing that. So just something I've been thinking about um, that just for me, the kind of things that I need to feel like I can be open with someone, and that in turn dictates who I choose to have a relationship with and have really solid friendships with. And that's something that some those are a few things that like I value, and yeah, it's important for me to feel um, that I have a good relationship with someone. So yeah.